You all have no idea how long this took to set up and make it not look like total dog shit. Thank you for your patience. I know this video is very late. Oh, that's so good. Oh my god, does my hair look like that? Oh god, one sec. I'm grabbing a hat. Okay, as I was saying, thank you very much for your patience. So, we hit 10K a little while ago. I wanted to make a video just to say thank you to you guys. I started this series about a year and a half ago. I put up a Patreon very quickly too, and it's because of you guys who constantly like the videos, who comment on the videos, who view the videos, and who help me out on Patreon. I get to keep doing this all the time as much as I do, and I love doing it. I feel like I've gotten to know a lot of you over the course of the year and a half I've been doing this, in you know, a very personal area. I talk to a lot of you on Discord all the time, and I get to see your projects, I get to see all the stuff you post and show off. It's such a cool little community that we have here, and I just wanted to say thank you for everything, and you guys kick ass. Now, before we actually go to the Q&A, I also wanted to, just in no particular order, there's been a few guys who have been with me since the very, very beginning, and I just wanted to say thank you to them as well. So, again, in no particular order, these are some patrons that have been with me since, like, as long as I can remember. We have Liam D, Yusuf Ali Castle, Eric L. Ruhlman, Stephen Trebley, Travis Pearson, Brandon Fowler, Richard Smith, Brody, Hector Bermudix, Nathan Wilson, AZ, Leveled Rogue, Rory McIntosh, and Piotr Wow. I can't pronounce your name, man. I'm gonna put it on screen. I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to butcher it. Okay, so now that's out of the way, let's move on to some questions. So I have this thing hidden here in the Discord. Hidden here in the Discord, the Q&A. This is posted a while ago. So we're going to start off with a question from Excelsius Studios. He says, what's your motivation for game development of your own game, Nephilim? My motivation from Nephilim comes from playing a lot of Dark Souls and feeling like I never had that much fun playing a game before my entire life. It was a different kind of fun, though. It was like cooperative, story-driven fun, and mixed with this sense of enormous challenge I never got from a video game before. I fell in love with the world and the art, and mostly the combat mechanics, specifically in Dark Souls 3, and I thought, I want to make something that's like a love letter to that, but in my own world, with my own story, my own imagination, but heavily borrowing from the mechanics and the game flow of it. Really cool. I have 1,000 hours in Dark Souls 3, by the way. Humble flex. This next question comes from Dev Kieran Metz, who is one of the Agent Smiths in the Discord, much like Excelsius. Thank you, my man, for all the work you guys do. He says, may we know your journey before becoming a game programmer? Did you enter coding bootcamp or a job related to programming field? The answer to that question is no, but like, let me explain further. So there was no coding bootcamp. However, I did do a course on Udemy, just to get Unity's layout, and it was a 2D course with a teacher named Ben Tristram, and I want to say another man named Rick. Really good course, great people. I did it because, not for the programming aspect of it really, but to understand Unity's layout, if that makes sense, because Unity uses a lot of, you know, a lot of things that are just Unity only. You have to know the program. It's like if you're a video editor and you want to use Sony Vegas, you can know how to edit videos on Adobe After Effects, but you don't know how to use Sony Vegas. I didn't know how to program, but I taught myself that by just kind of drilling material and just breaking things and fixing them. And there's this nice man I'll get to later. I bother him a lot when I get stuck. But before I was a programmer, I was an industrial electrician. I worked on an oil rig on the top side of a project, installing electrical components and modules. It was a good living, but it was very soul-destroying work. So I made the jump to game development because I thought I would enjoy it more. I saved some money and then took a year off and just learned how to code really and learned how to use Unity. This next question comes from Crumb. He says, is there such thing as being too old when it comes to developing your own game? I'm gonna say no, man. Not at all. Game development is like any kind of thing in the world. It's like art. If you're doing it for the right reasons, and you want to just create something cool and bring something to life from your imagination, then there is no age cap at that. You can do that until you're 800 if you want to. And then Mordred chimes in with I can answer that one, no. Yes, I agree. We have a question from Mordred. He says, if you could change one thing about how video games in general work, what would it be and why? If I could change one thing, and I'm going to take this question from a general standpoint, and by that I mean I'm going to take it from the point of how big companies operate and how they create video games. I would change how much video games have become monetized for the secondary content in our generation, and not so much the game itself. And by that I mean games now focus on things like loot boxes and a lot of pay garbage, just trying to siphon as much money as they can out of a game long after its lifetime has been expended. And if that time and resource was sunk into actually making the game better or adding on to it, like, you know, in terms of DLCs or just creative effort, video games would be a lot cooler. Not that they're not cool now. There are some of the most amazing games ever touch the ground coming out now, but it's unfortunate that sometimes greed takes a place in front of creativity in the industry, specifically in the AAA industry, not so much in the indie industry, I've noticed, but I would change that if I could. Snorlax's question. What is your technique or tips in identifying components of a function/system, for example, the equipment system, and the process of planning it out? Well, first and foremost, I try to just make something on the most basic level that I can just work. So if you have, for example, an equipment system, I'm not going to go ahead and do the torso, gloves, head, legs, and whatever else you want to do right off the get-go. I'm going to take a similar component that all these things borrow, for example, instantiating a model on your player. And I'm going to get that to work in the most ruggish way possible, and then I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to examine how it interconnects with my other systems. And I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible. And even after I come back to the system, I am literally going to go back to it again and again and again, and I'm going to say to myself, can I make this simpler? Can I make this simpler? And honestly, it usually doesn't come the first time around. You usually have to just do it. Get it done as whatever way you can, and then come back to it, and you'll find that over time, oh wait, I could do this and this would make more sense. Oh, I could do this, and then it becomes even more easy to understand. Oh, so it's just kind of like continually recircling back to it as you expand upon other systems, and just making it as simple as possible. But your first priority should just be making something that works, and then as soon as you can, make it as simple as possible. Don't ever overcomplicate anything. It's so unnecessary, and people fall into the trap of over-engineering all the time. I hope that answered your question. This next question comes from Evers. How did you find that doing a script for input, one for action, and one for another one, is the best way to code? Ah, that's so good. Well, think of it like this. I think of it in terms of modular components. Okay, so if you have a running system, or let's take a human body for example. You have your heart, and that's kind of your character manager. That's giving everything life. And you got your lungs, your stomach. You know if you're not digesting something properly, you know right where to check. It's your digestive tract or your stomach. You know if you're having trouble, walking, it's probably your legs. Could be, most likely. Could be other things, but it's probably most likely your legs. Coding is a lot like that. If you break it down into its more modular parts, it becomes really easy to bug check and also expand upon the system. Because, for example, if you add in a system that you no longer want and you make it modular, if you don't want it, you can rip it out and you're not going to break anything really. You might have to tie up some ends, but you're not breaking anything. And likewise, if you want to expand upon something, or if you want to check the quality of something or test something, you know if there's a problem, you know right where to check. It's just as easy as that. And I find, in terms of organization too, in terms of reading it, I find it so much simpler to separate everything into its individual parts, because then I know exactly where everything is. I know where to grab something, and if I somehow forget what something does, I look at the script and I have a really good idea already. It just will instantly jog my memory. Hasn't happened to me yet, but I know some people say they take breaks from projects and come back to it, and then they forget what their functionality does. To that I would say, always comment your code and keep your naming so simple. People abbreviate stuff, I almost never do it. Not knocking people who do. I will spell something out like fully and never abbreviate it. I don't like abbreviating things. I hope that answers your question. Next question comes from Mark, Starlex Dev. Big fan of your work, by the way, Mark. The stuff you post to show off looks really cool, man. He says, how long have you been developing games? Is Nephilim your first project? Nephilim is my first project. I haven't been developing games very long, despite what I think a lot of you assume. I've actually worked professionally on games only for the last year and 10 months. And Nephilim was my first project right after learning Unity and C#. I was told to not tackle something as big as Nephilim. However, when I am into something, and I believe anybody can do this, I think it's just a matter of the faith you put in yourself, but I pick up skills very quickly when I want to learn them from a place of like love and understanding, not from a place of just feeling like I'm obligated to. So when I jumped into programming, it all came very quickly to me. Once I memorized the syntax, like the structuring of it was just like secondhand nature. So I feel very comfortable jumping into something like Nephilim. I felt very at ease doing something like Nephilim was a project. But it is my first project, and it will be my first actual release, and I'm excited about that because I want to make it something very special. And yeah, so if you guys are in the same boat as me, and you're doing something massive as an undertaking, and it's kind of on the side while you live your life, take your time. It's an endurance. It's not a sprint. Remember that. Taking breaks is okay, and you probably will fall off the wagon for a few weeks or even months here and there, but just see it through. This next question comes from Binoon. Where and how you began your game dev career? I think I touched on that before, but I'll just go into more detail. Well, Binoon, I was, again, working a job that I didn't like. I went to school for it because my parents kind of wanted me to do that, and I didn't really think much of it back then. Didn't really think of my future. And I got to this job and realized I hated every day of my life doing it, and I was miserable. And I didn't really care that much about money at the time. So I put my money in my savings account and lived on the bare minimum, and decided to throw myself into books and studies of programming and game development. And I was with my girlfriend at the time, and there was a year straight where I would sit in my room in my office for 8 hours a day and just practice coding and breaking and building things. She thought I was going insane. And then I got a job with a gentleman. Gave me a shot after I learned some things, and then it all started to work out, and I started loving my career. And then I got into YouTube, and I started showing people things like you guys. Now here we are, and life is very nice. This next question comes from the Cud Concierge. Hope I'm saying that right. He says, if there's one thing you can add to Unity's game engine, what would it be and why? That's a great question. I like that. Oh my god, so good. Okay. I would add a seamless multiplayer plugin because, oh my goodness, there is next to nothing right now for or a saving and loading plugin. But multiplayer more importantly. I think Unity had some multiplayer stuff before, but nothing was really fleshed out to the degree that I would like it to be. And also, I think they're doing something now, but I don't know for sure. But yeah, I'd add that. I got linked some stuff in the Discord. Somebody said they're actually working on a project that's supposed to come out next year. That would be nice, because multiplayer is one of those things that I haven't looked too much into yet, and I don't really think there's a lot of Unity-friendly resources on it. TJ says, a little off topic, but what sort of shows and movies are you into? And are there any aspects of them that you want to incorporate into your game? That is a really cool question. And I like that question a lot. Yes, TJ, there are. And this is, I like these off-topic questions, by the way. These shows and movies I'm into, I would say anything that's more darker themed. My favorite TV shows, like without thinking too much into it, or movies too, I would say all of the Berserk movies. The Berserk manga is fantastic. It's the biggest inspiration behind me making Nephilim, aside from Dark Souls. Castlevania, also another big inspiration of mine. The Netflix series is amazing, and the old school video games. The Netflix series, though, fantastic. If you guys are fans of Dark Souls, check it out. I think you'd all love it, honestly. I also like Parasite. That's an anime that's on Netflix. Fantastic. I don't watch many actual television shows anymore. I watch horror movies from time to time. Big fan of all horror movies. Like a lot of weird ones too, kind of out there ones. Ginger Snaps 1 and 2, fantastic movies. Jeepers Creepers, And you know, I've seen a lot of movies in my time, but I would say horror or like action, dark fantasy, those kind of things are my favorite. That was a good question, DJ. Thank you. So next question is from Kay. Kay's question is, how many hours of programming do you do every day? Well, my man, that heavily changes on the day-to-day cycle, and I would say on a work day, I'll do 8. But I have another job. I work in the fitness industry. So I ideally on a normal day I do 4 to 5, and that will be working my project. And I have 2 days a week where I work on YouTube videos. There's 2 days every week. Usually one day is prototyping, another day is editing the video, recording it, recording my audio, editing, you know, and publishing it. So there's some programming into that too. Back in the day when I was learning it, I do like anywhere between like 8 minimum, 15 maximum, but that was a bit overkill, even I will admit that. But man, it's you could do 2,000 hours and learn nothing if you just keep doing the same thing. Just don't be afraid to try new things and just kind of like really get out of your comfort zone. That's all. And make sure you're always a student forever. You're always learning something. There's times I check the Discord and I pick up something from somebody. So never assume you know it all. That will just make you stagnate in your actual learning ability. This next question comes from Jan. He says, how was your first game ever? I don't know. It's still in development. And this last question comes from Weasel, who says, what other tutorials or possible devlogs do you plan to do in the future? That is perfect as the last question, because, one second, this is the last drop of tea too. This all just worked out perfectly. So, I'm starting another channel. I will link it down below. And the reason for this is because I'm going to start doing serious devlogs of Nephilim. Because I have this another gentleman who found me. His name is Rob, and Rob is an animator, a very talented animator. He has this friend who I haven't asked if I can disclose his name, so I won't. But Rob has been animating for me. He is the one who made all the animations for the video where I did the two-handed and one-handed animator controller, all those attacking animations I used, and the two-handed attacking animations I used. Anyway, he's fantastic, and Rob is going to help me by animating the project for me. And I'm going to start doing long, lengthy, heavily edited devlogs, probably 30 minutes an episode. I'm going to call them Dev Diaries. And I'm going to put them on my second channel, and on that channel too, I might just post random things, maybe like this if you guys like the in real life content, just me doing stuff, and I might even just stream some of my coding sometimes where you guys can hang out and we can just kind of chat. But yeah, so that in terms of other devlogs, whole new branches of content, and this won't impact the upload schedule because this is stuff I do anyway, but this is stuff I'm just going to start recording, so there's more content for you guys. And in terms of tutorials, I do have another tutorial series planned. It's not a lengthy series, it's actually like a standalone individual component series, which I'm sure a lot of you will like. And I'll get that up as soon as I can. I'm gonna try to get the first episode of the devlog up first. So if you guys go check out that channel and sub, that would be wonderful, and I appreciate you all for that. And other than that, guys, thank you very much for watching. Again, thank you for your patience for me on waiting for this video. It took a while. I was very busy, but I'm having a really fantastic time with the YouTube videos lately, and working on my game, talking to you guys. It's just been really fun, and I want to keep making this stuff. I'm gonna keep making this stuff. So if you're into it, as always, make sure you drop a like, leave a comment. It does genuinely help my series out so much in this video. And if you're feeling like a super champion, check out my Patreon below. And I want to say thank you to all my Patrons again. It's because of you guys I can keep doing this as much as I do, and I really love doing this. So I will see you in the next one. So again, yeah, if you guys like the content like this, let me know. And again, be sure to sub to the other channel because there's going to be some cool stuff there.